Jump into a couple things, and then we're going to, I want to start out by sharing just some prophetic words that have unfolded lately and are coming into fruition. I love it how time period goes by. Some of the things that I'm going to share with you is things that happened in 2002, 3, 4, in that area. And I think we're going to start out with Josh is always, you know, like he'll get a hold of me and say, oh my gosh, this was prophesied, da da da. And I'm like, yes, it was, because he reminded me of a lot of our prophetic words that were spoken at a certain time and season are on a lot of our worship CDs, and which we're going to bring more to the forefront because of certain things that are happening. And you know, it's like if you hear a certain song over and over, then you hear that prophetic word and you're going like, oh my gosh, that's it. And so obviously Donald Trump is rising up on the scene and shaking a few trees. And I remind you that it wasn't but a couple months or so ago, I told you that the political scene was totally going to switch and change, and that people would rise on the forefront, that many people would be like, what, you know, is going on? How can this be? But God would use them to literally shake things up. And so we are in that period, and you haven't even seen anything yet. It is just the beginning. And so I believe that politics, as many have understood it, is about ready to take an about face and really a different contour. And so I believe it represents the kingdom of God that is rising up in the earth, and there's many, many things that are coming forth. And so it's just a powerful thing. But I'm going to have Josh, if you would, come up here real quick, and he's just going to remind you of some things that were prophetically spoken about Donald Trump, or what seemed to be, we thought at that time, and now seeing it unfold now. And so stand right here in front of the camera, Joshy.
What's happening, everyone?
Hey.
Good stuff.
So I've got a few things that have just kind of come back to my mind over things that were prophesied a few years ago that I've been conversing with Michael about, like you said, just through text, or I'll be doing something and something will just hit me. Before I get to that, though, well, you know what, let me say that first. So back in 2011, 2012, the last presidential race, there were different words that came out during worship and different things at MTI. And one of them was, Michael prophetically declared, I think this was probably in 2011, I'm going to trump the Trump. And there were some words about Donald Trump's family and some different things. And, you know, it didn't really quite make sense at that time. And then also, during that time, Michael spoke about the next president would have the mind of an accountant, that he would know how to add, he would know how to subtract, and that he would have that kind of mind. And so during that time, you know, we're thinking, okay, yeah, Mitt Romney kind of rose up in that time, and we were thinking, well, that's got to be it, right? So obviously we were quite disappointed that things didn't turn out that way, and we were like, did we miss it? What's the deal? But then, things prophetically, it's amazing how you get something in the moment, and maybe you're just misapplying it it's for a different season or a different time. And so I sent Michael a text this morning. Sorry, I gotta open my phone back up again. And it was, so it was during that same period, 2011, 2012, where Michael also said, the next president does not want to be the next president. And I thought that came back to my mind this morning. I went to the gym this morning, and that kind of hit me just while I was doing whatever. And I was thinking about that. The next president of the United States doesn't want to be the next president of the United States. And so Donald Trump, I was listening to something he said, and he said, I'm only doing this. He's like, I got other things I can do with my life. I got all kinds of things I can do. I'm only doing this because I want to see America great again.
Yes. Yes.
And that resonated with me, and it sparked that word. And you know, I'm not saying Donald Trump's going to be the next president of the United States. What I am saying, though, is I think it's amazing how prophetically God connects the dots, and things are rising up right now. And this hit me during worship. This totally hit me. Whatever's real in this season is what's going to advance. Whatever is real, that's what's going to advance right now. Politically, business, in your life, whatever it is, whatever's real, that's what's going to be promoted. And we have so many things going on in the church right now that have not been authentic. They've been counterfeit. You hold up a $100 bill. A $100 bill has value because it's a $100 bill. A counterfeit $100 bill, it looks like one, but it has no value.
That's right.
And God's looking for things to be real and authentic in our lives. And that's where authority comes out of. And so if you're wanting to walk in real authority in your life, and if you're wanting to see God manifest through you, you've got to find out what your signature is. Because you're the only one with your signature. And if you're trying to operate out of someone else's signature or someone else's identity, you're missing it.
Yes.
And so I'm just speaking that out right now because I believe that God is doing a completely different thing. I believe that he is advancing the kingdom in a way that we never thought he was going to. But he's going to use the good, bad, and ugly to do it. And it's going to come out of something real and authentic in each of our lives. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
Very, very, very cool. So another prophetic word that was spoken during that time, we were actually on Fruitvale, and that was when we were really scary to a whole lot of people. And so they would hear us worshiping and making the sound that we're making, and we're like, oh my goodness. And anyhow, so that was the time when we were the occult. And, you know. So, but out of that moment, there were a lot of amazing things, amazing encounters that were taking place, and we just didn't know how intense they really were until we entered in, you know, further down the road into the future and began to see them manifest in a powerful way. One of those particular words was about lights, and this is actually on one of the CDs that we have too, but it was a little different. I was, you know, we weren't as polished then, but I was listening to part of these words, and it was actually in 2003 was the first time that it was spoken, and it was talking about Yakima becoming a city of lights. And it said the city would become so bright that planes from 30,000 feet in the air would see its brightness. And so it was just, you know, about this whole thing. And then when they stuck the little thing in the, you know, the round light thing in the city park there or whatever, I can't remember what it's called.
Millennium Plaza.
What is it? Millennium Plaza, yeah, that's prophetic, right? Millennium Plaza. Anyhow, we thought, wow, you know, the lights. Remember the word lights? Well, I'm going to have Steve come up here, and he's going to shed light on what this is, something even more amazing that is, you know, getting ready to transpire, or that they're working on, or whatever. So this was really cool, and he reminded me of this prophetic word.
No. Michael's always got to be goofy. I get to be goofy.
No, don't try.
Okay, so as many of you know, some of you don't know, I bought a building in downtown Yakima. It was a long story, but I am in downtown. And as part of downtown, I get to go to an association called DAY, which is Downtown Association Yakima, which used to be citywide. It's a group of businesses that gather second Tuesday of every month, and we generally gather at 2nd Street Grill. I just went to see what was going on. I started going to these meetings, and the executive committee, there's all these committees, and they start putting things together, and we became a Main Street city, which means you get tax dollars and stuff to do things with, and DAY is a non-profit, so they operate independently from the city of Yakima, which is kind of unique because politics don't play as much a part. So anyway, they were looking for a place to meet. I invited them to my store because I had a conference room, and they all showed up. And I was sitting in the corner and brought out a bottle of wine and beer. And I go, "Hey, you're great. We want to meet here all the time." So I'm sitting back in the corner listening, just trying to figure out what's going on. And they get to the design committee. They go, "Well, who's in charge of the design committee?" And they all look at me, and I'm like, no. "Oh, Steve, it'll be easy. We'll help you. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "Yeah, right." So I get this committee going, and the purpose of the committee is to come up with ideas about the future of Yakima and design. So I'm like, well, I can do that. That's pretty cool. So I get this group together, and we start walking around Yakima and look for a facade we want to spend some money and improve storefronts. We're looking for places that need some help. So we do this 50-50 donation. We're walking around, and I look up at the Larson building, and I go, "I want to light that building up." And the museum director looks at me, he goes, "What'd you say?" And I said, I want to light that building up." And he goes, "We need to get together." So I met with one of the people that works for me, or not works with me in my store. They lease space from me. It's called E3 Solutions, and they're a technology company, and they do lighting. So E3 Solutions went out and found this company that's regional, and they brought these engineers together, and they created an amazing. They lit up all sides in a what do you call it? Animation, electronic, digital thing. So they took the Larson, which is the biggest. It's an 11-story building. It was built by a guy back in the 20s, and back in the Depression, and there was just no reason for him to build it, but he wanted to leave a legacy for Yakima. He wants to light this thing up. So E3 Solutions has spent thousands of dollars. This engineering company spent thousands of dollars, and then they meet at my store and they do this presentation. They look at me and they go, "Okay, so when are we going to get to do this?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what did I get myself into?" So I started taking it really seriously and praying about it. Well, all of a sudden, all these people come out of the woodwork. The economic development director, the chamber guy, Joe Mann, who's kind of the unofficial mayor of Yakima, and then I've been meeting with this guy named John Ball, who's the museum director. Well, all of these guys are super excited. Well, when John came to my store on Friday, which I completely spaced and he had to wait for me, he brought these images. It says, "Imagine Yakima as the premier destination to experience the wonders of light." There's actually a group of people that have been getting together pre-2008, pre the economy going down, or whatever, getting ready for coming up. It's called the Light Project. And they have been planning projects of light throughout the city for quite a while.
That's awesome.
This is part 2 of this page. Imagine a public art program based on innovative use of light, sculpture that is internally lit, traditional and original works in neon, pieces that incorporate projected images and colored lights, whimsical creations that are alive with movement, kinetic sculpture triggered by extended sound or motion, artwork that is transformed by the movement of the sun and the changing seasons, much like the ever-changing patterns of light and shadows in our surrounding ridges. You can go online. I mean, I have this document, he gave me double pages about that thick of all this documentation about all these artists that want to do all this stuff. And when we got together as an executive group last week, they were talking about lighting the alleyways from the plaza, or through the plaza all the way to Front Street, and because it's just a dark community, but they've got all these plans, and they're looking at me to help pull this off. So, pray for me. But the project is going to cost between $250,000 and $1 million to light the Larson building. And they're saying, "Well, Steve, how are we going to do that?" And I said, "Well, I don't ever look at anything from the standpoint of finances. I always look at it from the standpoint of vision."
That's right.
And I said that before I saw all this. And they're plunging into it, and they're going to support it. So I'm expecting to see the Larson building lit up and a whole bunch of other stuff. So.
That's awesome.